I woke up this morning, the richest man alive. I poured me some black coffee and I kissed my lovely wife. I headed out the door, yelling I would be home soon, and said, darling, don't you worry, I'll be poor again by noon. First I bought some breakfast for a woman on the street, and I told her to buy breakfast for each person that she sees. Went to the supermarket and bought every grocery. Then I bought the store itself and made each item in it free. And I sang, money is a weapon, and weapons aim to kill. The only reason that we have them is because of man's bad will. If we all just quit the arguing, we'd know that it's not real. The only thing we can depend on is the way that true love feels. The only thing we can depend on is the way that true love feels. I went to the doctor's, then asked to foot the bill. The receipt had lots of zeros, but it wasn't a big deal. 'Cause then I bought the hospital. When the doctors asked me why, I told them no one on this planet should pay to be alive. Then I bought the banks and gave dollars out like candy, 'cause Lord knows when a dollar bill could really come in handy. You might need something to write on or something dry to burn, but a dollar isn't something we should all be forced to earn. And I sang, money is a weapon, and weapons aim to kill. The only reason that we have them is because of man's bad will. If we all just quit the arguing, we'd know that it's not real. The only thing we can depend on is the way that true love feels. The only thing we can depend on is the way that true love feels. I'd buy my wife some flowers from the local corner store, pay each customer's tuition before I walked out the door. Then I'd write a check to buy each university and give out cats at graduation in lieu of a degree. I'd walk through the front door with flowers in my hand, and my wife would ask me how it felt to be a wealthy man. It didn't last me long, I'd say, and it's not even noon, but I spent my last few dollars buying the two of us the moon.
Like, is the pandemic over? Like, I feel like some people would say yes and some people would say no. Like,
okay, so yes, some people would say yes and some people would say no, but I think it's really important to look at who's saying what, because it's not just a matter of opinion, this is public health that we're talking about here. If I ask somebody who says the pandemic is not over what they've based this decision on, generally speaking, they can quote papers, they can talk about the evidence that they have seen from peer-reviewed studies, from virologists, epidemiologists, public health experts. Like, they've got data on their side to back them up. If you ask somebody who believes the pandemic is over, like, what papers have you read to lead you to this decision? Generally speaking, they're going to come up blank, because most people have based this decision socially. It's kind of a vibes-based response to public health. And that is concerning for a whole host of reasons. Putting aside for the second that medicine is supposed to be a science, vibes-based healthcare kind of becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because if you are out there acting in a way that reflects the fact that you believe that COVID is over, so you're not masking, like you said, gigs are back at full capacity, you're out there among the people, you've got people who understand that COVID is in fact not over, they're not going to be around you to disrupt this idea for you. They're going to be over where it's safe. They're going to be masking. They're going to be staying home, often because they are forced to, because at no point did any of the public health information say that it was going to be safe for everybody. There was always an understanding that the vulnerable, the medically vulnerable, the immune compromised, those with pre-existing conditions, COVID still presented a huge danger for those people. And like, even people who are out there partying every weekend who don't give a shit about COVID are generally willing to admit that much. And I bring this up for a number of reasons, partially because obviously ableism is fucked and we should always take a second to examine the kinds of people that society tells us are disposable. But also because I promise you that taking on and absorbing this ableist rhetoric has fucked with your own capacity for self-preservation. You have been repeatedly told that there is a group of people that COVID is not safe for, that they are medically vulnerable to it, and they may die, be disabled, or be stuck in their home indefinitely. But you've also been told that that's okay, and that you need to live your life. That kind of messaging is going to do a couple of things. First of all, it's going to eat away at your compassion for those people, because now they are kind of the thing standing in the way of you getting to have a good time. You get to either have your life or look after those people. And it also distances them from you in your own mind, right? Because like, your life is important. Your life is worthy of protection. If this was really a problem, they'd tell you. So those people, they must not be very important. They must be other. They must be something else. We've got this growing distance in your mind. And I'm not saying it happens consciously. I'm not saying you're going out there being like, yes, gonna fuck over some disabled people today. It's not like that, but the message being repeated again and again and again, it's gonna eventually start making differences in the way that you think and in your behavior. And I bring up self-preservation because eventually those people, that can be you. We have a fucking mountain of evidence these days that COVID damages immune systems and that damage is cumulative. Not only can it damage every single organ system in the body, but particularly we are seeing immune damage after COVID infection, even mild infection. And so we're in this deeply, sadly ironic situation where we have more and more people going from the like, woo, COVID's over, don't care, group. They are moving into the disabled, into the medically compromised, into the vulnerable, into the immune compromised group, but they don't know it because they are so used to subtly dehumanizing this group that they couldn't imagine that could possibly be them. We have more than enough evidence now showing that the impact of repeated COVID infection is cumulative. The more times you are infected, the greater the likelihood of permanent damage is going to be. And so I have a question for you. If you belong to this group, right? If you are out there living your best life as if COVID is over because it only impacts the medically vulnerable or the immune compromised, what happens if you become immune compromised? Do you think that this group of people that you are surrounded by at the moment are going to suddenly change their minds about this group, or will you just become another disposable person to them? So if all you have is self-preservation, just know that the care for disabled people that you set up today, that's the net that's going to catch you eventually. And if that feels like an unfair amount of pressure, yeah, this is why we need a public health response that responds to evidence, not just vibes. But until we have that, we are all we have. And if you're watching this like, couldn't be me, I know my body, I would know if something was happening, I would know if it was doing damage to me. Babe, it's a vascular illness, you don't have nerves where it's hurting you. There are plenty of illnesses out there that present with mild symptoms that are not actually mild diseases. For example, HIV, another blood-based illness that can present with mild flu-like symptoms that is actually doing much more severe long-term immune system damage. So if you were looking for widespread immune dysregulation and damage from a widespread illness, what would we be looking for? We'd look for people who are like run down, getting sick more frequently and staying sick for longer. We'd look for opportunistic infections spreading more widely. Sound familiar? So yeah, there might be some people saying yes, it's over, and some people saying no, it's not over. But unfortunately, the people saying no, it's not over have all of the evidence. So whilst that gap is widening, we can't really come together and meet in the middle and just be like, maybe just some people are disposable, because we can see that's morally bankrupt, right? And so if we're going to address this, the people who are saying, yeah, it's over, are going to have to come and meet a little bit of the way over here. If that idea sounds scary to you, I suggest that you have a look around at some of the responses that we've actually had to public health when we give a shit. We consider it not great to get behind the wheel of a car drunk these days because of the risk that it poses to everybody else on the road. We don't smoke indoors at restaurants or bars. You're expected to wear a seatbelt. There are all kinds of ways that we have accepted modifying our behavior to take care of all of us. We have the tools to get ourselves out of this. All that's lacking now is the political will.
I'm not drowning. I am swimming so good. I'm having a nice time. This is a good afternoon. I don't want to die. I love living.
I think she was asking for it. Like, what was she wearing?
That's a dumb question. Like, imagine if we apply that logic to other things.
How the fuck did you get in my house?
You left the window open.
That doesn't mean you could come in my house.
Exactly. Imagine I'm a crazy person and hit you.
You what?
Like I hit you.
No, I know what it means, but why would you do that?
Because you were standing close to me, you know, egging me on.
No, I'm not. I'm just chilling here.
But you're not wearing any armor, so kind of sending mixed signals.
Not wearing armor doesn't mean I want you to hit me.
Exactly. Now imagine I burned down your house.
Nigga, what?
If you didn't want your house burned down, why'd you make it out of flammable shit? You were kind of asking for it by not having water on deck.
That's idiotic.
No, I know, that's the point. It's pointless to victim blame. Whatever mistake the victim made is just another indicator that they were taken advantage of. That's why it doesn't matter what she was wearing. You didn't want to get stabbed today, but you're going to.
What?
You see, and it's not your fault. I did this because I'm crazy, not because of anything you did.
I think I get it now.
Put your hands up in the air.
All of the dream.
Come on, come on.
How does it mean when the rhythm is flat? There is nothing to resist.
That's right.
Nature and dance,
Come on, come on.
clapping behind. When we out in this space on the planet of
Life, it never die. Women are my favorite guys. Sex, I'm wanting more. Tell the world, stop the war. Boom, hear the bass go zoom. Have a body, feel the groove. Cyber system overload. Everybody move, man.
We need to use another narrative when we're trying to combat these misconceptions of homelessness. The one I'm thinking of has to do with the myth that people experiencing homelessness don't have a job or don't want a job. When I hear people trying to debunk this myth, I hear a lot of people bringing up, well, it's really difficult to get a job when you're experiencing homelessness, which is true. Or they bring up how that's not true. A lot of people experiencing homelessness have jobs, which is also true. My issue with it is that it's still focusing on the person having a job, and the assumption that someone needs a job in order to be considered worthwhile or valuable is not challenged, when this is something that absolutely should be challenged. There are plenty of people who are experiencing homelessness that have a medical condition or have a disability that prevent them from working. And those people still deserve a home. I think these rebuttals come from a great place, but we also shouldn't tie someone's humanity or right to a home to whether or not they have a job.
Just like an angel, your skin makes me cry. You float like a feather in a beautiful world. I wish I was special. You're so fucking special. But I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I don't care if it hurts. I wanna have control.
So I was a bit struck last week when I saw that they opened the pulpit up to Genocide Joe. Y'all can get mad, I don't care. And people, as he began to give his campaign speech, some protesters stood up and said, "Stop the blood in Palestine." They said, if you're outraged by the blood of Selma and you're outraged by the blood that was spilled in this very church, then how about calling for a ceasefire in Palestine, since you've given them the weapons, you've given them the support, you've given them the money? Joe, why don't you do something about it? They marched and stood up and got kicked out of the church, and people said, we're outraged. You know, I was outraged too. Yes, sir. How dare you use this sacred space? How dare you use this beloved pulpit? How dare you use this sacred tradition? How dare you use the words of Jesus, who overturned the tables in the temple, who was committed to overturning a Roman government, who was committed to speaking out against injustice? How dare you use this space as a shield for imperial war? How dare you use this space as a shield for violence? How dare you use this space as a shield for genocide? The moral atrocity that took place wasn't some disruptive protesters. It was the fact that you allowed the leader of the most violent and bloody empire in modern history to stand in this place and represent a tradition that he ain't got nothing to do with.
Okay, I done started and stopped this video 3 or 4 times because I'm trying to figure out the nicest way to say this to try to be kind, but I haven't figured out a way to do it yet, so I'm just going to say what it is that I want to say. I posted something about the strike, and some of the comments that I'm getting on there, it makes me really sad because you guys are really fucking uninformed. The rich is just trying to get richer. Y'all don't need to upset, and teachers is da-da-da, and black people, and it just makes me just so fucking tired. The strike is not just about us trying to be richer. The strike is about protecting our rights. So first of all, so that you know, everybody in this business is not rich, okay? Not all the actors, some of the actors are lucky. Hey, I'm one of the ones that are lucky enough to really make, some money and be prosperous and shit. But not all the actors are that lucky. Not all the writers are that lucky. Not all the crew, not all the extras. Not all of them are as lucky. You know what I'm saying? This business is a hard business to break through to really make cash. Again, I made it at 47. I made it at age 47. It takes a long time to really build your shit up, to really actually make some money in this business. Just like any career. Just like if you was going to be a doctor, you got to start off as this. It's not wrong for us to ask for what it is that we think that we fucking deserve. Now, let me let you know that there's some people in this business right now, writers and crew and background people that don't make enough money to pay their fucking rent. You need to understand that writers don't get paid when they're not writing. It's not something like they get extra checks or something coming to them because they did something. They get paid one time and probably not that much. So what we're asking for, it's just like it's billionaire fucking corporations that's making millions off of motherfuckers that's doing the work for them. And all they're asking for is their fair share. Nobody wants to get their face scanned and get paid one time and they be able to use your image for the rest of your fucking life. Who the fuck wants to, you wouldn't do that. You people who come in and comment on the fucking bullshit. Oh, well, teachers, they're not getting paid. Well, all of us need to strike against the fucking corporations, not just fucking SAG and the actors, the teachers. Everybody need to be fucking striking against the fucking corporations because they fucking all of us. They fucking all of us. So when you come on and you comment on some shit that you uninformed about people who are trying to get their fair share, and it's not wrong to ask for fair wage. Shit, we need to all be picketing. Minimum wage need to be raised. Fucking all kinds of shit needs to be happening that big corporations are responsible for. So don't be mad at us because we decided to fucking fight back. How about you get some fight in you instead of coming on people's posts and commenting fuck shit? And let me let y'all know something, because these are the people that follow me, because every person I went and looked at their comment that said that follows me. I'm going to block the shit out of you. I'm going to block the shit out of you and not going to feel bad about it at all. Because my thing is that if you can come on and comment some insensitive fuck shit like that, you're not the person I want following me anyway. I don't want your fucking follow. I don't want to be friends with you. You insensitive piece of shit. So think about that when you're looking at these posts and want to post some real shit, some real fucked up shit about how, oh, you guys are just trying to get paid more and that. Go fuck yourself, homie. Go fuck yourself. We're fighting for people who really can't. There's people in this business that's not even getting paid enough to afford health insurance. Health insurance. They can't even go to the fucking doctor. Why? And it's just like, oh, all y'all rich. No, not all of us. Not all of us, son. And the ones that are, like me, we're stepping up for the ones who need to be rich. So yeah, you're gonna see our face because now we feel like we gotta come to the yard and go, yo, you not finna do our homies like that. So again, you post on my shit, you say some insensitive shit, I'm blocking the fuck out of you. Straight up. Get some goddamn act right and go get informed instead of just making comments because you think you can. Asshole. I'm so sick of people. Always got something to fucking say. And then don't know what to really say. Ew, that's the reason why shit ain't getting fixed, because everybody got a fucking opinion.
I've never heard this perspective on trans rights before. And from a Trump-appointed judge at that. So this week, Judge Patrick Hanlon struck down an Indiana law banning gender-affirming care. He said it was discrimination, but the example he used is genius. Here's the hypothetical. Let's say there is a straight cisgender boy that has gynecomastia, which, by the way, is a totally natural enlargement of male breast tissue. If this happens to a boy, nobody has an issue with this boy undergoing the knife to remove that breast tissue. But God made him that way. Why would he want to remove it? Because it causes anxiety, depression, suicidality. The same factors that are successfully alleviated by gender-affirming care for trans people. The judge also basically said that blocking hormones would be silly. Cisgender, underage females are prescribed anti-androgens all the time to suppress their testosterone levels. Girls naturally have testosterone too, and if they have too much naturally, it causes problems. A lot of the problems are distress by the effects caused by that extra hormone. The judge's point is that if distress is the factor that everybody is trying to solve for, whether you're transgender or cisgender, what is the point of only blocking it for one type of person? It's hysteria. It's discrimination. Just so well stated and poignant and smart. I want to publicly thank the judge for putting his thought and energy into this and not allowing for public sentiment and partisanship to get in the way of clear thinking.
So just to recap here, it is barely June of 2023, and so far we have had snow in Los Angeles, California. We watched Fort Lauderdale Airport become completely submerged by basically the ocean. And now because of wildfires, New York looks like the apocalypse. I'm not saying we should give up hope, but what I am saying is it's like a little distracting to sit and like clickety-clack away at our keyboards all day when like the planet is very obviously just dying all around us. We can keep pretending like it's not happening, but all of that happened within 6 months, and it's just gonna get worse. Collectively, we need to refocus our priorities.
If you raise your kid with radical ideas around politics, community, and gender, aren't you worried they're going to become like a conservative Christian during the rebellious phase? What rebellious phase? Well, you know how teenagers get treated like non-people by their caretakers since childhood. I mean, they aren't undeveloping. So they get punished, yelled at, and sometimes hit for things they aren't in full control of. They need to be disciplined. And if you punish, yell at, or hit another adult, what do we call that? They aren't even adults yet. Right, so they have less agency, autonomy, knowledge, and experience. Fine, but are you trying to say if you don't discipline them, they won't step out of line? You're saying the goal of their entire development is to become independent of their caretakers. They're naturally exploratory and experimental, and how rebellious they are is a reflection of whether that process is being supported or denied. It's our job to make sure that they turn out okay and don't repeat our mistakes. They're kids, they don't know what's best for them yet. We know the best ways to take care of them, but we don't know the best ways for them to be themselves. The more we try to know what's best their personalities, the more points of conflict there will be where they don't fit. The more condescending and cruel we've been, the more viciously they'll fight back at those points. We aren't supposed to tell them who to be, we're supposed to show them how to grow.
Buying things that aren't necessities in this economy.
There's a best-selling Korean book called I Want to Die But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki, and it's all around this concept of how purchasing has become a psychological survival tool in these modern times. And the Korean phrase for this is called 시발 비용, which loosely translates to expense. This is money that people are opting to spend rather than save because you know what? I'm never going to be able to afford that house or the lifestyle that I want to live. Yes, part of the popularity in the concept has to do with social media, materialism, and one-upmanship, but the concept itself shouldn't be dismissed as frivolous spending because what people are doing is making a rational choice to maximize their life satisfaction through short-term consumption rather than despairing about their long-term prospects. Some examples of 시발비용 would be buying yourself the nice pair of shoes or the meal out after you've been dumped by your boyfriend. It's opting to take a cab instead of public transportation after you've been berated at work. And it's different from the treat yourself mentality because these are expenses that you would not have spent if you were not so stressed about life.
Imagine for a moment you've got a son who's in high school. He's not perfect or anything, like any kid or frankly any human being. He's got flaws, maybe he's lazy, maybe he's a bit rude, but overall he's a pretty good kid. And now imagine one day a new kid transfers into your son's high school and starts relentlessly bullying him. He calls your son names, he spreads rumors about him, he steals his lunch money, he breaks his property, he trips him, he punches him, he beats him up. And your son can't eat lunch in peace, he can't go to the bathroom in peace, he can't focus on his schoolwork. His life is being made a living hell by this kid. And so you go to the principal and you say, this guy is bullying my son. And the principal says, well, that's just boys being boys, there's not really anything we can do about that. And you say, no, this kid is making my son's life a living hell. I want you to do something about it. And the principal says, well, that kid's parents are members of the PTA. They're very influential citizens. They have donated lots of money to this school, so I'd be careful what kind of accusations you make about their beloved son. And so you tell your son, okay, maybe just ignore it and it'll go away. But ignoring it just makes it worse. Ignoring it just emboldens this bully to do worse things to your son, to attack him more, to steal more of his stuff. And so you say, okay, maybe you try go talk to him man to man. And so your son goes and tries to talk to his bully and tell him that he doesn't appreciate being bullied. And the bully turns around and beats the shit out of your son. And so you've had enough. You go and talk to this kid's parents and you say, your son is beating up my son. And this kid's parents say, no, our son was bullied in his last school before he transferred to this school. So obviously, you're just another person trying to attack our son. You're just trying to spread malicious lies about our son to make his life harder, and we don't appreciate it. And if you keep doing it, we're going to sue you for libel. So you tell your son, okay, maybe tell other people what's happening. Tell other students, tell other teachers, tell them that this guy is a horrible bully, and maybe the shaming and social ostracization will get him to stop. And so your son goes and starts doing that, and after a few days, he gets pulled into the principal's office, and the principal says, we hear you've been spreading rumors about this kid. You've been bullying him. We don't appreciate that. If you don't knock it off, we're going to expel you. And of course, this entire time, this guy has been continuously tormenting your son. And sometimes when this kid attacks your son, he puts up a fight, but every time he does, your son's bully goes to the principal and says, hey, this kid hit me, he's bullying me, and your son gets in trouble. He's losing weight because he can't eat at school, his grades are slipping, he's coming home with bruises. Every time you try to bring it up to the administration, they brush you off. They say, obviously, your son is the one with problems because he's weird and jumpy and underweight and can't keep up in his classes. And so one day, after years of this, your son goes to school, walks up behind this kid, and sucker punches him in the back of the head, and then proceeds to beat the living hell out of him until he gets pulled off by a teacher. And so you get called into the school, and you go to the principal's office, and the principal says, I can't believe your son would commit this kind of violence. That is unacceptable. We do not condone that sort of thing in this school. And you say, this kid has been harassing and bullying and beating the hell out of my son for years, and you've done nothing about it. And the principal says, well, we empathize with whatever's happening to your son, but this was not the solution. Violence is never the answer. You have to condemn the violence. And you say, no, I don't necessarily condone it or encourage it, but no, I'm not going to condemn it. How can you sit behind your desk and condemn my son for resorting to violence to protect himself when you have actively ignored the violence that has been perpetrated against my son for years? And not only that, you actively blocked non-violent solutions to this problem. He tried to reason with this kid, he got the shit kicked out of him. He tried to raise awareness about what was happening to him, and you accused him of bullying and threatened to expel him. It seems like the only solution to this problem that you deem acceptable is my son rolling over and quietly dying. So no, I'm not condemning him for doing this. I have no right to, and neither do you. My son did not bring violence into the walls of your school. This violence has been going on for years, and you have had every opportunity to stop it, and you have done nothing. You do not get to sit there and tut about the methods my son has chosen to use when taking matters into his own hands, especially when you have actively cut off every other recourse he has to solve this problem non-violently. In an ideal world, do I want my son solving all his problems with violence? No. But we are not in the situation that he is in, and you certainly do not have any semblance of moral high ground on which to stand to condemn him from. You have actively allowed this violence to happen for years. You do not get to suddenly pretend to be a pacifist when the kid you're not biased in favor of does it. I'm taking my son out for ice cream, go fuck yourself. We, in our first world country, with plenty of food and running water and access to medical care and freedom of movement and a government that, for the most part, respects our human rights and cares about our well-being, have no goddamn right to pass any moral judgment on anything the Palestinians do to fight for their freedom. Especially when our government and American organizations have not only funded their oppression, but actively blocked any attempt to peacefully bring attention to their plight and peacefully solve their problems. We have had every opportunity to step in and solve this problem for decades, and we have done jack shit. We do not get to tut from behind the desk about the way they choose to solve it. You do not get to condemn people for choices that you yourself will never have to make, because your pacifism is hypothetical. It is pure fantasy. It doesn't matter how much you tell yourself that you'd put a flower in a soldier's gun, or let people spit on you while you participated in a sit-in, or let cops beat you up while doing a march, because you'll probably never have to do any of that. There has been violence happening in that region for 70 years. Why are you condemning it now?